Hey everyone, it is Tanya. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I am back with another speed build, and I'm building an earth home. More specifically, a modern earth home. If you're not familiar with what that is, an earth house or an earth home is basically a home that is either covered by the earth, underground entirely, or has a part of the structure with earth against the walls or the roof. So it's kind of like built into the ground. And I was really inspired to create one of these as the latest expansion pack we got, Enchanted by Nature, introduced some new textures for the roof that are grass, and I don't end up using those here, but we got everything you needed to essentially make hill homes or hobbit homes. And so I thought it would be really fun to do that same idea, but an opposite style and go very, very modern with this. These do exist in real life in this sort of style, and I think they are so beautiful. They're really striking, the angular roofs and the surrounding nature. I just think they're absolutely stunning, and I really hope you like how this build comes out. If you do and you'd like to download it for yourself, you can find it on the Sims 4 gallery under my EA ID, which is Gryphi, Gryphi. You can also find it under the hashtag Gryphi, and that information will be in the description down below as well. So for this home, I knew immediately I wanted to build in the world of Granite Falls, which is a vacation-only world that came with the Outdoor Retreat game pack, the first piece of DLC that ever came out for The Sims 4, actually, as it's a very wooded area, and I sort of liked the idea of decorating this as more of a vacation home, so not overly cluttered, but you could definitely place this down wherever you would like and have it as a home your Sims permanently live in. But I liked the idea of maybe this being like an Airbnb or something. It just feels so extravagant that I have trouble imagining somebody living here permanently, but you could definitely do that if you want. One thing that I was really having a blast with here was messing around with roof lines and boxes and doing something just a little bit funky. You can see I'm extending them over a flat roof and playing with them quite a lot. And at first I was considering using these large boxy windows from the Greenhouse Haven kit, and I do like how they look, but it ended up making so much more sense to utilize the new glass wall feature. It adds to the sort of extravagance of this home. I think it looks really cool, and it also allows your Sims to get gorgeous views of the surrounding area. Getting a little ahead of myself though, as I haven't even placed down the glass walls yet. I'm still playing with the roof over here, trying to figure out what sort of roof line I want to have, if I want that to be a full second story or not, which I did opt to have, and I'm very glad I did because it ends up being one of my favorite spots in the house, especially because I end up sort of having a lofted space in the living room where it's a double height room and you can see down into it from upstairs with a beautiful chandelier, and that's going to be in the section that I just threw out now with these overhangs. So you can see me just kind of fiddling and experimenting since it is a very weird shaped house. I just had a blast trying to figure out what I wanted this to look like and not feeling like I was limited by the traditional shape of a house. I was just playing around with things, clicking and dragging, adding things here and there, and trying everything, including adding this little roof piece here and deciding this was going to be an additional room in the house made entirely of glass. So I'm going to be painting the walls on the sides as well, and then I add another section in the roof over on the other side of the build. And this is going to be where our entryway is. I ended up making this out of some fence pieces and an awning from the Desert Luxe kit. And this is where the glass walls start coming in and the colors of the build start coming together. I used a lot of earth tones here, so a lot of browns, and then the roof is made out of grass because I wanted it to look like it continued from the ground onto the roof. And I just think it looks really cool. The whole house actually sort of has a mid-century modern sort of vibe to it, but it also feels like it's mixed with that and ultra-modern and eco because it's an earth home. Not to be confused with an earth ship, which is a different type of earth home, which I have created on the channel in the past, and it was really fun to do. Let me know if you'd like to see that again in the future. It's way different than this. It's a style of architecture that was developed in the late 20th century, and it's designed to behave as like a passive solar earth shelter that's made of natural and upcycled materials. So there's like reused glass bottles and earth-packed tires and things like that. It's a really cool concept, and they have a very specific look to them. And it's been a few years since I've made one, so that might be a fun thing to return to. But back to this build, I have pretty much figured out the colors I'm going to be using at this point. I use a couple of different browns on the outside, one that's more orangey toned, and then this sort of mid-tone brown that is this very thin paneling. I think that came with Businesses and Hobbies. I think it looks really pretty. And you can see I extended the back of the house a little bit larger, and I'm also extending the roof so it kind of goes into the ground to further that illusion of it continuing. And then I'm picking out some doors and windows, mostly using glass walls, but I do have a couple of smaller windows in different portions of the house and some sliding glass doors. I also thought I was going to keep this section where I have those 3 like staggered windows. I thought it looked cool at this point, and I did build this over the course of a couple of different weeks. And when I came back to it, I didn't like it. So that part of the roof does disappear a little bit later. And also an interesting thing about this house is it doesn't have a backyard, it has a front yard. So there's like a pool and stuff out in the front as well as a hot tub. I had a blast figuring out this whole little section. It's just a little bit different. Trying to figure out how I want the pool to be and have that interact with the fact that I wanted there to be a step down into the hot tub space. And that's a little difficult because you need to use platforms to have a step down, but platforms don't work with pools, but foundations do. So I had a foundation and I was trying to add a platform next to it. And I go back and forth a little bit here to figure out exactly how I want it to work. And in the end, I don't have a foundation at all. It's only platforms next to the pool. And that worked out perfectly. It does take me a little while to fiddle with it though and get it just right, as I needed to adjust the size so I could have these steps down into the hot tub area. And I also surrounded the whole space with a half wall to enclose it a little bit and make it feel slightly cozier. So the half wall extends around the back and on the sides where the platforms are. And then in the front, I end up actually using a fence, which you'll see here in a moment. First, I'm just getting the little steps down with the platforms and then a little bit of a walkway with some terrain paint here. I'm pretty sure this changes later. I'm not sure if it got deleted or if I just changed my mind, but it did take me a little while to figure out the overall landscaping. But here is where I am adding some fences around the pool. I really liked the one that has the little plants on the sides, but I also wanted it to not fully block off the pool. So I paired it with a fence from, I think, Businesses and Hobbies. That is just like a metal fence you can see through that has some lighting on it, which looks really nice at night. And then I'm going around and starting to place down a variety of trees and bushes and all sorts of like dark green landscaping to really accentuate the environment that we are in. Most, if not all of these plants are from Show Live Edit Objects, and a lot of them are base game. I think the trees I'm primarily using in the front at least are from Outdoor Retreat, and then the ones in the back, I think I used a couple that are from Snowy Escape because there's some really nice texture on the evergreen trees in that pack. But here I am just kind of laying out the flowers surrounding the pool. I also used some of this lavender plant in like a yellow color. I thought it looked really pretty here. I mostly used yellows and blues for the landscaping, but not too many of them. It was meant to be sort of sprinkled in with a focus on the greenery with just little pops of color. And I will continue adding to it as the build progresses. But right now I'm just adding a little ladder down into the pool with a couple of floaties. These ones I think are from Courtyard Oasis. No, that's not the name of it. What is the name of it? Riviera Retreat. And that is also where these little waterfalls are that I'm placing into the pool. I think they look so pretty and are perfect for this environment. And this is where I'm finally getting rid of that roof piece I had mentioned earlier. There was just something about it that I didn't like, so I decided to just extend this out instead and create a little fake balcony over here because I don't put a door out to it or anything. I just have it as a decorative half wall, and then I am adding a different roof piece up top to make the shape a little bit more interesting so the entire roof isn't just flat. And I had a couple of windows up there to achieve that look, so it looks like it would let some light into the rest of the house. And then I duplicate that and put it on the other side slightly smaller to finish that roof shape. But we are finally inside. I know, like almost 10 minutes into the video, and I am starting by figuring out where I want to have a fireplace on the inside. I knew I wanted it to be somewhat close to where it is on the outside, and it's a really funky shape, but I love that. And I continued that shape upstairs and connected a fence to it to create this sort of like double-story fireplace where you can view from upstairs down into the living room. It's this huge 2-story room, and I think it is absolutely stunning in the end. I'm excited for you to see it. So the staircase leading up to it is right there, and then I'm placing down some placeholders placeholder furniture and starting to figure out the floor plan of the upstairs before we go downstairs. I wanted to make sure I could fit enough bedrooms for this home. And it does end up being a 4-bedroom, 5-bathroom house. It is set up as a vacation rental, so you can't live here, but if you decide to move it to a different lot and your Sims wanted to like purchase this house, it's 157,510 simoleons. And I did build it on a 50 by 50 lot in Granite Falls. I believe this is where the National Forest usually is. But figuring out the layout on the main floor, I am starting to place down kitchen cabinets for where the kitchen is going to go. So over on the left side of the build, I have the dining room in the front, and then a kitchen over here using the cabinets and countertops from the Cool Kitchen Stuff Pack. I don't use these super often, but I thought that they were the correct color based on the vibe I kind of achieved on the outside of the build. I really, really like these. And I just feel like the wood color is so nice and rich. It's just the upper heads bother me that they're all glass and you can see everything in them. So I actually ended up using the cabinetry from base game in a swatch that we got in an update earlier in the year. And then over here is going to be another bedroom. This is kind of like the primary bedroom, and it has its own walk-in closet and ensuite. And then I have a bathroom actually in that weird shaped chimney area on the bottom floor. And then upstairs, it's unused space because I decided to put another fireplace over there. You could probably move that and turn it into another room if you needed it to be that way, but I just thought it looked really nice structurally. And then here in the kitchen, I am just continuing the cabinetry and deciding for the counters that I don't want them to be an island piece, and instead I am using the regular cabinets and closing off this area with a fence. I think the fence I used is from Eco Lifestyle. I might be wrong on that, but I think it is so beautiful. I love the detail that that adds. And then I did wrap the counters around in the front to have a little bit of that island piece, so I could put a couple of stools at that. And I'm just picking out our appliances, and the lighting fixture I used here in the kitchen, I really, really like. That one is from the Sleek Bathroom Kit, and it is just so pretty. I feel like it's a very common fixture nowadays, or maybe not common. I see it in a lot of like interior design shows, so it must be popular. I really like it. I wouldn't mind having a light that looks like that in real life, and I just thought it accentuated this room very nicely. And then I'm just moving around some clutter. I used a plant and a bowl and some like little figures or statue pieces from the Refined Living Room kit in here. And also in the middle of the room, I put a accent table from Eco Lifestyle to just act as like a fake island piece in the middle to put some decorations on. So I just have a tray with some juice. And then I did get rid of the corner cabinets over here and decide to put some of these modular units instead to fill up with clutter. And I just thought it looked so nice. The colors matched way better than I thought they were going to. And it's been a while since I did something like this, and I just feel like it added some personality to the space. But it didn't feel like overly personalized where this couldn't still be a vacation home. So I was very pleased with that. So continuing to add some more plates and stuff up there and some other decorations, some pots and pans. There's a scale in there and some like spices and stuff for you to cook with. And of course, I couldn't forget to add cutting boards to this kitchen. So I did get those over here in the corner with a couple of other pieces of clutter, plus a nice plant and a microwave. And then I should be grabbing a couple of our bar chairs before we move into the dining room. For the stools in here, I'm pretty sure I used the ones from high school years. Yeah, I did. I really like the shape on them and how there's only 3 legs. I just think it's really pretty. And then here in the dining room, I think I kept this table and these chairs. They are both from Eco Lifestyle. I really leaned heavily into that pack. I guess because I was building an earth house, it made a lot of sense to me. And I also use these curtains in pretty much every room. These ones are from the Desert Lux kit. I'm pretty sure that's the name of it. And I just wanted to make sure there were some plants in here. So I have that tall, like vertical planter in the corner. I also included a bar in this space, which is probably my favorite bar in the game. That one's from the Essentials Party Kit, or Party Essentials Kit. I think it's that version, that direction of the words. So I'm just cluttering up the area a little bit. I got some candles. I also added a couple of bottles of wine on top of the bar and a little bit of artwork. And then I am working on the entryway. I ended up grabbing that same fence again to section off the entryway a little bit, and I'll be doing it on the other wall as well. I just haven't yet. I also considered having this little love seat on the inside of the front door, but I didn't end up keeping that in the end. That will disappear. But I did separate off this little room here into a little games room, which I thought was really fun. I have a ping pong table in there. I feel like another great item to put in there, if we had it in The Sims 4, for some reason we still don't, is a pool table. I would love to have a pool table in the game. That would be a fun activity. But you could probably put whatever game you want in there. I just decided to use ping pong, and then we are just adding our curtains to our giant 2-story living room as well. And there's a big door here that leads you out into the like glass room, which is just going to be another sitting space. And I think it actually comes out really pretty. Also, this wall had enough space, like the perfect amount of space, to use the TV and shelving set from the Casanova Cave kit. And I didn't even plan that out. It just fit perfectly, so it was a no-brainer that I had to use it. And I was also really excited to use this coffee table. I used 2 of them. They are from the Fitness Stuff pack, and I just think they're really stunning, and having this more natural rock material as the coffee table in this environment in the woods just seemed correct. I really liked it. So I doubled that up, and then I have a couple of sofas from Refined Living Room, some chairs from there as well, and I put some cushions on everything, and then we'll be cluttering up the shelves with a variety of things like sculptures, books, plants, just filling in those spaces to add a little bit of personality and decor to the space. And I'm also going to be swapping out the rug for the other base game rug that's about the same size. I just like the swatches on it a little bit better. Oh, and I also added this really pretty lighting fixture over by the 2 chairs. I believe that's also from Refined Living Room. That whole kit is absolutely beautiful, which makes sense. It's one of the creator kits by ACC Creator. And then I'm cluttering up the coffee tables. I thought having a couple of piles of books and games and a big flower would be nice. And then over here, I thought it would be cool to put a little bit of artwork on top of the fireplace. So I just deleted the wall, and then I was raising everything up as the game just got an update, and I just finished this. And so I don't have the latest version of Tool yet. So it was just easiest to go ahead and delete the wall and raise them up with the 9 and 0 key. And then I actually swapped out the sofas kind of last minute. I liked the other one, but there was like something that wasn't quite working for me, so I ended up actually changing to these Desert Luxe ones, but I did keep the chairs in the corner from Refined Living Room, and then I'm just adding some cushions on the chair since I didn't have those. And I also grabbed a couple of these ottomans from Life and Death and layered them under the table. I just thought they were a nice pop of a dark brown to kind of mimic the wood tones on the outside and the flooring in here. And I got this really low bench behind the couch as well. I think this one's from Eco Lifestyle, and I just put like a lamp, a place to place some records, some books, and I think a little plant. It's just a cute little end table to kind of section off the living room. And then over by the staircase, I just placed down a large plant and some artwork heading up the steps, and a bookcase over here as well, which you're probably not going to be able to access because it's tucked behind the staircase, but I just thought it was a really nice way to fill up the space. And then for our games room, this room ends up being so simple. I just have the ping pong table or table tennis table in the middle on an angle, a nice rug in here, a chalkboard that looks like you can keep score on. And then I also painted the walls with this like woods texture. I thought it was kind of fun. And that's it for that room. And we're heading into the primary bedroom, where I tried so many different beds before I got to the one that I ended up using. I did end up keeping this like custom headboard in here, but the bed I actually ended up using is this one from, oh goodness, is this from Eco Lifestyle or Dream Home Decorator? I think it's Dream Home Decorator. And I used my favorite piece of artwork up above the bed, and then I just got a couple of wardrobes over here and a place to watch some TV, a little bit more artwork and decor on the bedside tables, and that should be it for that room. And we're heading into the ensuite bathroom. I pretty much have all the bathrooms looking the same. I mean, this one's bigger than the ones upstairs, but the ones upstairs have these same fixtures, and I just copied and pasted them, the rooms upstairs, so that they would look pretty much identical. I think I changed a couple of swatches of some of the items I put in them, though, so that it just made it feel a little bit more realistic. But you would think that they would make all of the en-suites in a massive vacation home like this match, so that's what I ended up doing. But I left the footage in for the one downstairs here so you could see what fixtures I picked out and the cluttering process. And I think I also left in part of the process of the larger downstairs bathroom. Yeah, this one that is inside of that chimney, the funky shape. I thought this one was kind of cool as well, and I'm fairly certain I kept the shower tub combo just because it's nice to have extra bathrooms. And there is a bedroom down here. It has its own ensuite, but having this extra bathroom is quite nice. It's a weird shape though. I had to figure out where I was going to put the counters because they don't like to be on diagonals, but I put them there anyway since it gets that really harsh black shadow on the top. It worked out here though because the countertops are black. So I was very happy with that. And then I also got a towel rack in there from the sleek bathroom kit. And now we are working on this little glassed in portion. I used a couple of these bench seats from Get Together, I think, with this beautiful coffee table in the middle. I also got a lot of these plants out here and a couple of ottomans as well. And I'm pretty sure that's it for that room. I'll be adding some outdoor lighting in there later on. And then our other little glassed in room, I treated as sort of like a greenhouse. There's some planters your Sims can use to grow whatever plants they'd like. And I have some decorative ones as well as some like gardening supplies. I think both of them came out really cute. And actually for the decorative plant, I put this wall vase of like small plants in circular vases. I believe that one is from Dream Home Decorator. I don't know why I get the items from Dream Home Decorator and Eco Lifestyle confused so much, but I do. But I think that's where that one is from. And then upstairs in this lofted space, I actually put a fish tank, which is kind of fun. I believe this one's from Dine Out. And I just put a couple of counter pieces on either side with some lights and a little rug, a plant. There's also a place to play foosball up here. We have a bubble blower, another one of those benches. There's a fireplace, a bookcase. It's just like a fun activity space on that top level. And I also made sure to place an area to do yoga out on one of the balconies. And then you can see all of the bedrooms are going to be pretty much the same as far as furniture goes. I'm just going to change the swatches so that the color schemes are a little bit different. But first I'm placing down all the bedside tables and rugs and lamps. And then I'm figuring out what colors work best here, as I wanted it to all feel very cohesive and like it was all purchased at the same time, but have a little bit of different personality to each room. So I thought this one was going to be the blue room or like the light blue room, but then I placed on the artwork and I decided to have the dark blue in here instead. So the middle room ends up being light blue. And then I'm just grabbing some curtains in here. I also have a full length mirror by the entrance to this bedroom's ensuite. And it was kind of cool having ensuites in all of the bedrooms. I've seen that a lot in vacation homes, like pictures. I haven't been to very many vacation homes because I've been on almost no vacations, but I do love looking at interiors, and I think that's a nice luxury thing that you sometimes see. But here I am just duplicating some more of the furniture. So the pink room has the same TV stand and artwork as the ensuite, or not the ensuite, the primary bedroom below it. And then I just got a little chair over in the corner and the same mirror that I had in the other room, and that's pretty much it for these rooms. I'm just going to be getting a little bit more artwork in this middle room. And then we're going to finalize some stuff downstairs. Like I didn't add a trash can yet. And then I added a sort of like side table over here leading into the primary. I made it out of just a cabinet piece from Base Game and put some books, a little clock, and a pretty plant up there. And then outside, I'm figuring out our outdoor lighting, getting an outdoor trash can, all of those like last minute things you forget about. And at that point, I also decided to get rid of the love seat right inside the interior because I just didn't feel like it fit the color scheme and the style quite. And I actually swapped it out for one from Seasons, which I thought was really fun. And then I also decided to add a barbecue and a table and chairs right outside the front door. So you'd have a space to enjoy some barbecue. Since I had a pool area and a hot tub and stuff, I was like, I don't have an area for us to have like a cookout. So I thought that would be a nice addition. And then I'm just finishing up our landscaping and using some additional tiles to have basically a walkway to the front of the lot. But that is pretty much it for this build. We're just going to finish up this landscaping and then head on into screenshots. I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, and click that bell to be notified when I upload. And a massive thank you to my YouTube members for your continued support. If you'd like to become a member yourself, you can click the join button below the video or the link in the description. Enjoy the screenshots, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.